boy, top boy, top boy, top boy. Aight, yeah, started from bottom, we now at the top boy. Aight, yeah, top boy, top boy, top boy, top boy. Aight, don't mess with my food, I get you like top boy.
It's your boy, Underdog Crypto, aka Jay, here with another cryptocurrency video. It's time, folks, to give you the reveal of that research and forensic analysis about the billboards and signs for the project Piccolo Inu. But before I do that, let me give you a little bit about myself. Your boy, Underdog Crypto, is a certified digital currency investigator, a certified fraud examiner, and a digital forensic scientist. I am going to be looking at the information about that billboard posting. If you saw my previous video, you understand the why. And we're going to go through this from a forensic examination so you can have the facts and add it to your research. That's the power of using science and not just hype. So let's take a look. Is this billboard real or fake? We're about to find out through investigation. So if we take a look, remember in the previous video I showed you that on 11/20/2021 a post was made about the billboard that was speculated to be posted in this area of California, and this is supposed to show Piccolo Inu. Now, I wanted to see if this is real or not. In order to do that, I didn't have an original image. I had to use my certifications and knowledge in forensics. This is the billboard, and I brought to your attention this billboard. And one of the things about this image is blurry. It's not very well taken, but that's okay. I can see things that others can't see using forensics, and that's what I did. So now we're about to go through investigation of this particular project. And what we're going to do is walk through this. Now, if you don't want research, if you want someone just to give you coin market cap, this program is probably not suited for you. This is for those investors, those subscribers who don't just want to listen to what people say. They want researchable facts. That's the purpose. So if you're not here to learn, then please, you can look at anywhere you want to. You don't have to be on this channel. But for those who rock with your boy Underdog Crypto, you know what type of content I give you. So let's take a look at my investigation and find out about this project. Here we go. View of Piccolo Inu's billboard. So I'm going to first pull in the image. This image I gathered online by looking at posted images in the Telegram and also posted on social media sites. And I pulled in this image, and at the top I want you to notice that I see some latitude and longitude for this particular image. It says 415.30004-57 freeway with WL 2000 SO Chapman Avenue South Freeway. And this was taken on 2021 11/15 at 9:08. Now, this is helpful because this tells us a story. It tells us information that I'm going to use later on when I don't have the original image to determine if the image I am seeing is consistent with the evidence found. So that's what we see so far. So as I pull this in, I want to look at the image and note a few things. One, I'm not looking at the image first. I want you to look at the bottom, and I can see shadows. I see shadows from the structure of where this image is. I see the shadows on the ground. Now, I'm going to tell you why that's important momentarily, but I want you to notice as I zoom in that you can see shadows on the ground. Now, as we look at those shadows, we pull back out. I see Lamar written here on this particular image. So now I see shadows, and I look at the billboard and I can see the word Lamar. Now, I notice there is a blur because it looks like there's a lot of sunlight hitting this aspect of the image. Here we see the sun hitting this image here, and it's very bright. Now, at the same time, I can see that the sun is coming from this direction and it's hitting the billboard here. and I'm looking at the shadows. And for those who are rocking with me, you already can see where I'm starting to build. I'm right now determining, based on the timeline, this 9:08 a.m., the sun's placement with the billboard, if it's consistent with the shadows. And that's going to be important. I'm also looking at the date that image was created on 11/15. So I'm going to be looking, because I know that this supposedly happened on this date. I know the location. I know what the sun angle is. I know it looks here to be very bright. And I also can see the direction of shadows. And that's all going to have to line up with me prior to me even taking a look at this image. Now that I've looked at this image, what can I determine? I determine that the image itself, by the perspective I see, was taken high up off the ground. Now I want you to notice this too. The image being taken was taken so high that you could actually see the platform here where the individuals who maintenance this image would stand. So now I'm thinking, oh, how was this image taken? Was the image taken using a some type of device, such as a drone? Was the image taken by using some other type of device? I can see the bars here on the side. So my questions before I even start looking at if this is a correct image is about the surroundings. You can see from here to the side, it's pixelated, but you can see that this is high up, that this is looking out toward the city. And you can see the tops of buildings. This little blurred area here is the buildings. So I know that this is not the actual ground. This is the platform. I can even see the ladder here in the background. Now, looking at this digital image from just the visual inspection, I have determined one thing, that the image is high up, that this is from the platform, that the perspective had to be taken from a high altitude. So it couldn't be taken from a car, that the angle of it is coming from this direction. And as you can see, Lamar going backwards this way. So the angle is coming from here to this direction to the left. And I'm also seeing that the sunlight was hitting at this time here. I can see also the shadows on the ground. And I'm looking at this. So far, based on the information I have, this is providing me a lot of details. Now let's get to the image itself. I also can notice here at the top, there's this white background right at the edge. And that is consistent all the way around the billboard. Now, why is that important? I'm going to talk about that as well. So I'm looking at this. And there's one more thing I want you to pay attention to before I dive too deep. And this is just a cursory overview. If you look very carefully, it might be hard to see on your computer screens or your cell phones. But do you see these little pixelated blocks? And if you see there's like little lines, if you were to zoom in or go watch your Underdog Crypto video on your actual laptop or desktop, you'll see these lines. Those are called the Moore effect. Now, the Moore effect, without going too complicated, if you took a picture with your phone of an image that is on your laptop or desktop, you will see a Moore effect because the camera angle is not aligned with the pixels in the screen from which you're taking. So since they're offset, since they're not aligned, this is a Moore effect. Photographers deal with this for a very long time. So I know this is an actual digital image that is uploaded to a screen. Why is that important? Because if I created an image using Adobe Photoshop and then was to paste that image on top of this, I wouldn't see a Moore effect. The only way this could be a Moore effect at this point is one, that someone took a picture of this actual picture from their laptop or screen, or that the camera that was there, whether it was a drone or not, took an actual picture of this picture, and that digital image wasn't aligned, creating a Moore effect. So that is what I have from this. I want you to make one more note. Notice how the reds are quite red, but if you zoom in really carefully, and you might not be able to see it from your end, I can see hints of red within the white of the background. Here at the top of Piccolo's head, even though it's white, I can see hints of red in the image. Now that's going to be important later on. I was trying to go to this QR code to scan it. It wouldn't go through because it was too pixelated. So that's something else I could look at. But for right now, I have determined a few things. One, that this was taken from a high altitude. That two, this is a platform that the people who maintenance would be on, but it's further back from that. So this is off the platform, that the camera angle is coming from the right to the top. So that is important. There's shadows on the ground. And there is also a timeline and date. The date and time is 9:08 at 11:15 on that date on Highway 57 freeway. So that's what I have off of Chapman Avenue. So let's continue with this investigation. So you got the overview. I've got that information. That's the evidence. There's no more. I'm going to determine with the evidence I have if this is an authentic picture and it really occurred. Is there really a Piccolo Inu billboard in this location? From the internet, we don't know. That's what I'm here to find out. So let's talk about that. So we knew that a specific date, and I want to bring it up to you, that on 11/15/2021, the date in which this picture was supposedly taken, that it was sunny, it was 79 degrees, and the forecast was that in that area, and it has solar noon at 11:36 a.m. Now, why is it important? Because this is the image we're looking at, and we got to make sure, is it sunny? Yes, it's sunny. So we got one thing checked off. And we know that the solar noon was 11:36 a.m. So that tells us a position of sun. But if it had said if it was rainy and cloudy, I would look at that information. So that was one of the clues that I need to look at. Going further, what can we find out? Well, using the GPS coordinates, I was able to narrow down that it was in Orange Freeway, and we have the location in California and a zip code. And remember, we knew the picture was high up, and I was able to determine that the picture was actually 58 meters up. And what is 58 meters up? I'm looking for a structure that is at least 190 feet in the air. So that's a rounded information. And here's the check mark. See, if you see here, I have the latitude and longitude based off of what was in the image. I have the freeway. So based on that information, I'm narrowing down, and you can see right there the dot where this should be located. Well, doing further investigation, I found something similar. Here is a billboard. It has the same location, 57 Freeway West WL 2000 South Chapman Avenue. Has the same latitude and longitude. And just so we can see it, if you remember, I want to go back to the picture. Here we go. Top of it, you can see 57 Freeway WL 2000 Chapman Avenue South Freeway. And so we're got the right place. So now that we know that we are in the right place, I want to make sure, and we found the exact location. And what is this to? This is to Lamar Billboards. So now that I have verified this, we need to take a closer look. This is on the 57 freeway. It's one of the primary north and south freeway arteries in Orange County, connecting affluent communities such as Diamond Bar and also Brio Fulton. Now, these are the areas in California. We found a location. And what did we find out about this location? Here is the information I highlighted there, and you can see in the image that orange sign. That is the sign, and that is consistent. So now we are narrowing down our area, and here is a close-up. And it has this location at Placentia in California off the highway. And right behind it is Spring Hill Suites. And here's the digital sign of Lamar. So now that I found that, we got to go deeper. So now I found the billboard. I need to do forensics. It's now up to me to find out some details about the image. For example, based on Lamar's sign, this particular sign should be 400 pixels high by 1400 pixels wide at 72 pixels per inch. That's the first check mark. The second check mark, it will be created in Adobe, Photoshop, Illustrator, and it will be uploaded digitally to this sign. So now we know it's not a paper sign, we know it's a digital sign. Now here's a red check mark. I want to read this to you. This is important. It says, in many cases, one color may slightly overpower another, giving the whites on a digital display a tint of either red, green, or blue. And if you remember, I told you I saw there was slight red in the whites. So that's great to understand. Here is the exact pixels. So we should be looking for a sign that was 1400 pixels and wide. You see that length? And then you see the vertical 400 pixels. That's the digital display. And I want you to notice that little white line going across at the top. See, the whole image would not have been taken up on this billboard, only what's within this frame. So there should have been some space like bordering, and we wanted to make sure that was consistent. So let's see what we found from there. So going further, here we go. I found panel number 20030 on 57 Freeway, WL 2000, South Chapman Avenue, South Freeway. We have located the area of the sign. And if you see underneath it, we have the name again, Placentia, and that's also in that area. Now going further, I'm going to go through this and we're going to take a closer look at the sign now that we've located. So here we go. Check it out. Further investigation, I was able to find the exact sign and location. First, I want you to notice here it says Placentia, and then here it has Lamar signs, and behind it is a Spring Hill Suite by Marriott. Now I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey so you can also see it for yourself. It's important as we look at evidence that we are able to ascertain if it's correct. So we saw in the previous image that there was this sign, and we also saw in the image I told you about that border and the platform, and you can see it's a wedge. There's the front side of the sign here and the back side of the sign here. So now that we can see that, I zoomed in so you can see a little bit better. We know that that's the location, and there is a hotel here. So if someone wants to go take a look at this sign, you have a hotel you can stay at, and now it explains a little bit better how someone could get a perspective of this particular sign. Now we saw before that the sign ran from here to here, and so it was Piccolo Inu from here to here. The picture was taken from this direction, and now we can see that information here. So more than likely, based on the image that's in the social media page, this is the angle someone from this room here took a picture of the sign being on the front facing, back facing portion here. That would make sense, and that would explain it. And now it's time to look at this particular area, the Spring Hill Suites by Marriott, in this location, to see if that sunlight that I showed you in a previous video, if it was reflecting at 9 a.m. from that angle. Now that we have specified and identified the actual location, now we can run a different analysis. So let's see if it works. I'm going to bring you to the front of it really quickly so you can see this for yourself. Let me turn around here so you can see the sun, and it's a nice little bright sun being taken at the time in which this video was taken. And there we go. So here is the front of the sign, and you can see that anyone from this window, this window, this window, this window can take a clear shot, and that is the only thing that makes sense. So I'm going to be looking to see if the sunlight reflected at 9 a.m. on 11/15/2021 hit this part of the sign. The shadows we saw were right here, and if that's consistent
with this sign. So let's keep going.
So we saw that, and now we have a location. So for you, if you're watching Underdog Crypto and you want to find the exact location from which this sign will be displayed on Highway 57, then why don't you consider checking into Spring Hill Suite by Marriott and Placentia or Fullerton, California. The address is here, 380 South Placentia Avenue, Placentia, California, 92870. And there's even a phone number right there for you too, 657-258-0092. Now, no one gives you information like this. Your boy Underdog Crypto has identified the location and where the sign's going to be. Now, I'm going to go further and let's take a closer look at the sign. And we found Spring Hill. So here we are at the front at 380 Spring Hill Suite. So that was a little closer looking at the sign. Now we found the exact location. And I want to bring up, here is the satellite view. Now previously, this was the star on the left was Spring Hill Suites. And this, the time in which this image was done, they hadn't built yet the current location. I see here on the GPS 380, I had a square in green, and I put the exact address and see the billboard circled to the far right with a red square around it. That's the billboard. So the Spring Hill Suite, they built a new building since the time this GPS location satellite view was taken, and that's where it was. So that's the clear view. So real or fake? That is the question. So what we're going to do is take a look at this to determine if this is real or if this is fake. So we got to show you the first video, and let's go back to the first image. Now here what we're looking at, determining this real or fake. What evidence have we have? We got sun direction. We have the height from the ground. We have shadowing. We have the Moore effect on the image. We have all these factors. The location of the billboard, the latitude and longitude. I'm building the case to discover the truth. We don't know where it goes, but we have the physical elements that environment shows us, and we can compare those physical elements to what we see in the digital image to see if they are going to be aligned or if there's discrepancies. So going to that, the final portion of the investigation. Check this out. Here we go. We can see from the previous image I showed you that this was the old area for the Spring Hill Suites. Obviously, they moved to this area here. You can see the outline here. And this is a satellite view. And here is Orange Freeway 57 in California. And here is the billboard. Right there on the edge, in case you don't see it, right where my red circle is. Now, what we're going to do, if you remember the first image, I showed you the shadows. I showed you the angle of the sun. Now we're going to put it in practical application. We're going to see a simulation to see if it's consistent, which will help further authenticate. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is run a simulation, and I'm going to see if that simulation will be consistent with the sun angle, which was in the first image. And we're going to set that date for November the 15th. And I'm going to set that time for 9:10 a.m., which is consistent with the image that's being circulated online. So let's take a look and see what happens. Here we go. Starting with the sunrise, this is the position of the sun in the morning. I'm going to stop it at 9:10. So the sun started here, and now we can see the angle. What we're looking for is the sun hitting that sign, and that's where the shadow should have been. And so far, we're up to 8:10 a.m. And I'm going to stop the animation once we get to 9:10 or close to it. And now right here, this is where the sun was. So based on this sun position, the sun hit from this angle. Now, that's very interesting. I want to remind you of the images. Now, here is the image that we saw. Remember, November the 20th, 2021 at 7:52 a.m. We saw this billboard. And you can see here the shadowing right at the base of the sign. And we also see that the sun was coming from this direction and hitting the sign in the same angle in which is shown here in the billboard. Now we're going to go a step further. I ran the image through my forensic analysis, and here's some things that I found that also further substantiate this image. One, the visual inspection, as I just showed you, everything was consistent there with what was stated earlier. Two, when I looked through the image, I looked at this says J5, and that let me know more about the image if it was produced by, for example, Adobe or not. I went through some other things such as a histogram. Now, the histogram showed me the intensity of the light, where the light was. What I was looking for was this area of the histogram to show to be darker, and the highest level what shows to be exactly where it's at, showing me the exact same blur here, showing me that the intensity of this white is from the reflection of the sun, which if I looked at the histogram from this perspective, I could see that this is consistent. I also wanted to look at the error level analysis. This is another way that I could determine, and everything checked out. It was uniform. If this had more contrast, that means that it was different. It would mean that the image possibly was created at a different time, and I did not see that in the image. And then finally, I wanted to see a thing called PRNU, and this photo resistant non-uniformity, and this is way I can tell if something has been changed. Now, this is high level stuff, but basically what I'm looking for is that this image, if it was disturbed, there's noise in every image. If I saw some type of disturbance in this PRNU, then I would know that something was added or changed. I did not find that disturbance. Everything looks consistent. So what was the forensic analysis? I found that not only did it authenticate itself through the physical aspects, but forensically as well. So there we have it. It was fact checked, and I found out that this image is true. Forensically, I was able to show you and prove through the physical attributes of such as the image's shadow, the sun positioning, through the image attributes such as the Moore effect, and the things I was looking for from a forensic standpoint, the location, GPS, latitude, longitude, the actual billboard being Lamar billboard, the size, everything checked out. So Piccolo Inu truly has a billboard that you can now trust that was legitimate. And now it gives more proof that if you look at other future billboards, that you have a way to determine if it is true or not. But that is a great thing for these projects to not only have more images, because images can be manipulated, but what you can't manipulate is the science. That is a little bit more difficult and challenging to overcome. And we have proved it here. So I hope you enjoy the forensic analysis of Piccolo Inu. Make sure you go out and you like, share this video. We are evolving on the Underdog Crypto platform. We're doing more than looking at coin market cap. We're doing more than talking about a project to shill it or FUD it. We put research over hype. Go check out Indigo Saint. Make sure you also like to the top, because I have more coming for you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I hope you like this content. That's the type of content I give my subscribers. And as you can see, We are doing things that no one else is doing on the World Wide Web. Well, until next time, this has been your boy, Underdog Crypto.
Top boy, top boy, top boy, top boy. Aight, yeah, started from bottom, we now at the top boy. Aight, yeah, top boy, top boy, top boy, top boy. Aight, don't mess with my food, I get you like top boy. Aight, yeah, top boy, top boy, top boy, top boy. Aight, yeah, started from bottom, we now at the top boy. Aight, yeah, top boy, top boy, top boy, top boy. Ayy, yeah, damn what that mood, I'm staying on top boy. Ayy.